How did you come up with the idea for a museum with international standard?
Before that, I wanted to tell you that when I got married and I got involved in many different social and cultural activities, as you know, our country is a great civilization, 1,000 years of culture and history. And I wanted, of course, we had the Minister of Culture, but I wanted in my own way, in the position I had, with the help of many of my compatriots, to protect what we had old, whether monuments, architecture, poetry, music, everything, and at the same time to support the young artists. And also I thought that it's important that we are proud of our history, to have museums to show to our people what we have.
Yes.
In different parts of Iran. Of course, we had the Museum of Iran, Boston, and Old Museum. The modern art, I mean the Museum of Contemporary Art. Before that, I must say that I helped to build the Museum of Carpet in that park, and also the Museum of Lorestan, which was all the paintings and art of the Qajar period. That unfortunately, when this story happened in Iran, the museum was beautiful. It was an old palace and everything was organized. And I remember Yaroslav Fritsch, who was a Czech artist, came to put the things together. And when the Islamic Revolution happened, they put this painting other places, and they put the Guardians of the Revolution in that building, as if there was no apartments in Tehran anyway. And after that was the Museum of Abgine, which was old pre-Islamic and Islamic ceramic and glass work.
I would like us to speak about that later.
Yes, I will. And also the Museum of Reza Abbasi, we had all these objects, and also the Museum of Bronzes of Lorestan in Khorramabad, Lorestan, which is a province of Iran. And I didn't want, I mean, in the future I was hoping to have museums in areas or provinces that the objects came from, not everything in Tehran. And also one of our big projects was the plan. I wanted a Museum of Contemporary Art also in Shiraz, and there was a plan drawn by Alvarado, the famous Finnish architect, and the plan was made, even the maquette, but unfortunately this happened. And also there was an old sort of fortress in Shiraz. I wanted to have a museum for handicraft. Coming to the Museum of Contemporary Art, of course, to encourage artists, I was going to art galleries. There were not many, but I was going there. Of course, the Minister of Culture was doing Biennale of Artists, and buying art because I loved their work, and also trying to encourage other people to buy contemporary art, because those who had the means were more interested in ancient Iranian art, not so much the contemporary. And also I was encouraging also the government to buy.
Yes.
Anyway, so one day in one of the, it was not a gallery, it was a place which you must have seen since you have been to Tehran, the theater, the Tehran theater. In that place, there was a building, and there was a art gallery, not a gallery, but the exhibition of painting. And a lady, Iranian painter, she's in Iran now, Iran Darudi, she told me, I wish we had a place that we would keep our work like in a museum. I thought it's a great idea, and then I spoke to Mr. Kamran Diba to be the architect, and then later on I thought, not only the Iranian, why not have some foreign art for Iranians to know what's happening in the rest of the world, and also for foreigners to come and see. So that's how the idea came about, and the museum was built in that park.
You had a team around you to help create the collection. In the Assouline book, you mentioned Kamran Diba, Tony Shafrazi, Donna Stein, Mr. Bahadouri, and the Bayala Gallery. Could you explain how the choices were made and what's the last word?
Well, what we wanted to do is starting from the Impressionist to modern art. And then there was a small committee under Mr. Bahadouri in my office with Donna Stein-Korn, and they were in contact with art galleries in Metropolitan Museum, the Modern Art Museum in New York, and also I was in touch with I forgot, Galerie Mag in south of France, and Mr. Bahadouri went to New York and visited the galleries and talked to some people who helped him, and also the art galleries were sending him all the pictures in my office, and they were studying the quality, the price, and so on, and then we choose, and also Mr. Diba helped Mr. Shafrazi at the end, few paintings. And this
for
is
contemporary art, right?
Sorry?
Mr. Shafrazi for very contemporary art.
Yes, I mean, few paintings I remember at the end, but most of it was done in my office, and also with the help of Mr. Diba. In whatever I was doing, I was trying to get the help of everybody.
You said in the book that you met Henry Moore and Salvador Dali. Could you tell us what it was like?
Well, for me, I was very impressed to meet Salvador Dali. We had a Maison de France, French, what do you say? In Paris, we had the Maison de l'Iran, and like a place to have exhibitions, and restaurant. And Salvador Dali, I don't know how come he came there. This is where I saw him, and of course I was very much impressed because I was admiring his work, which was unbelievable. And also Henry Moore, I went to his property outside of London, and I admired his work, and I visited what he had done. I always remember that he had a little painting in his entrance in his office, and he said, I asked many people who did this, and by chance, I don't know how, I said it's Miro, and it was true. And I was proud, of course.
And what about Dali? He was a bit crazy, or not especially?
No.
Respectful?
Yeah, yes.
So it was not the big usual theater of Dali?
No, he didn't do it. I would have remembered if he had done something
crazy. Andy Warhol visited Iran in July 1976. What was he like? Did he make a portrait of you? Did he make the portrait of you on this occasion?
Yes, he came because through our ambassador at the United Nations in New York in those days, he wanted to come and do my portrait, and of course I was very happy. I always admired his work. He was very shy. We didn't speak much, but he came to the Niavaran Palace, and he took the Polaroid, and then he did the portrait after. I was very proud, and especially I was happy. I saw him again, of course, in New York later on.
But it was your idea to have his portrait? The portrait from him, I mean?
I really don't remember.
Yes.
If I wanted, or maybe our ambassador has spoken to him, he was I think he was interested.
Yes.
I didn't. It was not my idea to ask him to come and do my part.
But you were very pleased with the result, right?
Sorry?
You were very pleased.
Yes. I must say that he did a very good portrait, really.
The collection ranged from traditional Impressionist painting like Renoir to radical abstract like Rothko and also Francis Bacon. What was the idea behind the collection?
As I told you, the idea was to have all the foreign art also in Iran for our people to see what's happening in the modern art, and from impressionist to contemporary art.
Like the evolution of art history, right?
Yes, because Iran was going ahead in many ways, and then in those days we had the means to buy when the price of oil went up, where our problems also started. So we had the means to buy.
Ah, yes. I was also very impressed by the two Giacometti in the museum. Do you remember the story of these two Giacometti?
I became familiar with the work of Giacometti at Fondation Mag in the south of France, and when they proposed to sell, I don't remember if it was a foundation or art gallery. It was very interesting to have them, of course.
I visited the extraordinary museum dedicated to glass and ceramics designed by Ansoline. Could you tell me the story behind this museum?
Yes, at the same time I wanted to protect old monuments in Iran. And that house belonged to an ancient prime minister, a very old, beautiful house with a garden. And I wanted to do the museum there. And then I think one of the bank wanted to buy it, and I spoke to the gentleman, the head of the bank, and I think he offered it to the museum. I don't remember if we bought the house. So the director I wanted to put for that museum was Nasrin Schlaminger, and she knew Hans Hollein. And it was her idea to ask him to come to do the arrangement. We had all the objects, we had bought them, to do the presentation of the objects, which he came, and of course he did a beautiful job, but then unfortunately I didn't have the chance to open that museum.
But I have to say, I visited it, it's very impressive and very well preserved.
No, that's wonderful, I'm happy.
Yes, it's extraordinary, an extraordinary place. Why do you think the Islamic Republic has kept almost the entire collection and is due to reopen the Tehran Mocha soon?
To reopen, we will wait and see. But fortunately, they are all there except one painting of the Kuning that I have exchanged. Then if I have time, you have time, I will tell about it. I was very worried, frankly. But the person who replaced Mr. Kamrandibar at head of the museum was Mr. Kousar, who was the head of the architecture department in University of Tehran, had all the list of the paintings, the price, the size, and they had kept it. And I must say that, as I said, I was very worried, but fortunately nothing happened. But in 2005, the director of the museum put some of the paintings in exhibition, not all of them. And then people saw it, and I'm very happy because people knew what they have, and they protected the museum. Because 2-3 years ago they wanted to give the museum to a private foundation. I said, I hope they don't do that, because God knows what will happen. And I have to tell you something, when they exchanged the Kuning, I called the museum and I said, I'm a student of art and I'm very much interested in this museum. This museum, the paintings, they belong to Iran and the Iranian people. Don't exchange things or sell. And the gentleman I spoke to, he said, they forced us. Anyway, the exchange, quickly I will say that it was with the rest of the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, which was very important, Houghton Shahnameh, who wanted to sell us in 1970 for $20 million. Of course, we couldn't do that. And then he published in 2 volumes the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, and also he gave the beautiful miniatures to Metropolitan Museum, and some of it he put on sale in in auction houses. And I asked a gentleman who's in this field, I said, how much do you think the rest of the Shahnameh is worth? He said something like $6 million. Then I said, if really Islamic Republic was interested, they could have paid $6 million. But later on I heard that they sold the de Kooning $20 million to David Geffen. I mentioned his name because it was in New York Times.
Wow.
And Mr. David Geffen sold it to some American...
Stephen Cohen.
I think so, for
Yes.
over $100 million.
But the thing, for me, the miracle is that they kept all the collection. Even some bacon with naked men that they did not want to show me. So that's a miracle they kept all that.
Yes, yes, fortunately. The only...
But why do you think they respect that?
Because the persons who were working on the art gallery, I think, liked what we have and preserved this. The only thing they destroyed was my portrait of Andy Warhol that they cut from the middle. But lately I've heard that they are repairing it. But the funny thing, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that they had sent the Francis Bacon to London a few years ago for an exhibition.
Yes, I think so. And also something to Baylor Foundation, I think.
Baylor, I don't know, but I know they sent, I heard that they sent Jackson Pollock to Japan.
Uh-huh.
And then when it came back, the customs kept it by saying that the Minister of Culture owes us money. Can you believe it? That painting, God knows, among the I don't know what sort of bags, but fortunately they took it out. And also I saw the Max Ernst, which was beautiful, one of the most beautiful Max Ernst, better than what they have in Germany in Centre Pompidou a few years ago.
Ah, yes. Do you doubt that they will reopen this museum?
No, because a few years ago, when the foreign minister of Germany went to Tehran, the place they took him and they took pictures was in the Contemporary Museum of Art, and there were some of them contemporary art in exhibition. They are still on show, but mixed with, of course, other work of art that exists today.
No, because they were supposed to reopen the museum last November, and now they say next spring or summer, so it's very strange.
I don't know, because they were supposed, as you know, to send it to Berlin.
Yes, and so why did not they send it?
I don't know. I don't know what reason. I thought that maybe they would think that some people who have been damaged by the Islamic Republic might claim. I don't know. They didn't give the reason really for that.
Very strange behavior, right? What's your next dream for this collection?
Well, as I said, it's not a dream anymore. It's there. I hope it will stay. I wish they could also continue to buy works of art, of contemporary art, but unfortunately there are so many unbelievable, terrible problems in these years in Iran that really the paintings can't stay for later on. There are much more things to be done in Iran now. And what I'm happy is that there are, in spite of all the pressure and censorship and on artists during the Islamic Revolution, they have not been able to stop the creativity of Iranian artists. Today, there are more artists, painters, sculptors, musicians, folk music, and interesting thing is that there are a lot of people buying and a lot of galleries also.
There's even a fair now. I went to the first fair last year.
To
Contemporary art fair.
To sell.
Yes.
Prices unbelievable. I asked someone, how come, someone who's inside, and they said also is to hide some money. How do you say?
Yes. Black market.
Black market or That's when they want in a way to...
Yes, to save some money.
Yeah.
At the auctions, they have very good prices. Yes. What would you like people to remember about you?
You know what touches me very much is that while I'm still alive and before I died, I see a lot of sympathy from my compatriots, even if they have heard so many nonsense about us and the past. When I see my compatriots who are coming from Iran in the streets here in New York, they come and hug me and kiss me, and they send me such sweet emails. And many of them now they say, and they remember, they say it, because I've been active in many social, humanitarian, and they say it, because I helped the lepers, they created centers for them, the orphans and environment, and in every field. And they say it now. So I'm grateful to them.
Merci beaucoup.
Je vous en prie.